Mate, to start with, I sucked, which I know. Apparently the feedback was pretty bad. They didn't even show me the feedback was that bad, right? So I was like, yeah, Dave sucks. And, anyone but Dave, that sort of feedback. But after I got a bit better and I just jumped in and watched all the really good coaches and how they were coaching those sessions and just wrote notes on them and went, okay, that's how they do things. And even then I didn't get it right, because then you try and be them. And when you're trying to be them with their information and the way that they, their voice intonation and their jokes and things like that, it just doesn't work. It's not until you find your feet in terms of watching the best of what they do and then doing it your way. Yeah. And I think that's that's how I sort of went about butchering, and used to learn from those guys who were really good at different jobs. Okay. To become the best butcher I could be, and then that's just always kind of been my philosophy. So then into coaching, that's exactly what I did.
So can you talk about your preparation or how you went about that mindset with butchering? Like you broke it down into different parts.
Mate, I think that's where I kind of first started, or maybe it was even beforehand with footy. And you look at what the guys that are getting the really best results, how are they going about training? So what training stuff are they doing? What's their... And you just sort of I looked at those things, but particularly with butchering, you got guys that break down the beef and, boners. And then you got guys that are really good at slicing steaks, and you've got guys that are really good with the gourmet stuff. And then you've got other guys that are boning things out and making a certain seasoning or making a marinade. And so there's all different elements. And, I just didn't want to go and be taught by the one person, because then you'll end up as good as him. But if you go to all the best and learn what they're really good at and find all their sort of knowledge and skills and the way that they go about it, their techniques is probably the best word. Then hopefully, you should get a lot of those and become better overall. So, mate, for me, in terms of coaching, I'd just look at who were the best coaches doing which particular sessions, and I'd go and watch them as much as I could. I'd learn as much information as I could, so that once again I'd be a better coach. So same thing these days, mate. Even in what I do these days, I just look at who's really good at what I want to do, or what skill set I need to get better at, or what technique I need to learn, and then I try and learn from those. So I don't necessarily reinvent the wheel, or I look for the best and try and learn off them.
Yeah, well, that's really cool advice. And you take that with everything, like obviously marathons and. Just everything you do.
Mate, I do, but there is a big difference between, looking at what the Kenya marathon runners are doing and what, Dave...
Genetics.
5-foot barrel, what he's going to come up with in the marathon. So those guys are running at a completely... their technique is so different because they land basically on their toes, whereas I'm landing on my heel because I'm going a lot slower than them. So
are they human?
Mate, I think, unbelievable. But, so sometimes I look at some things. That's probably an example. I look at some things and go, that won't work necessarily perfectly for me. What can I take out of that? What are they doing really well that I could still work on? Are they bringing their knees up as they're running along? Sorry. Right. Or are they, what are they doing? In terms of their feet striking, the faster you go, that'll make a real difference how your foot lands. So obviously if you're going a fair bit slower, so then if you're running ultra marathons, which is a lot slower again, then you're going to run completely different to a marathon runner. So then it's just trial and error and looking at what other successful people are doing in terms of nutrition and all those kind of things. How much water someone drinking and how many calories and